What's the risk right now that you're afraid of taking, that, or the risk right now where you would like, where courage would be necessary?
Yeah. I think just the courage to kind of move on to a different phase of my life. I think I'm holding on to that corporate job and that corporate role. Also, a relationship that is not fully finalized. So it's just like, what are those things, like those last couple of strings that are holding me in from fully embracing like the next phase of my life. But it feels like there's so many aspects of it that are like starting to get there. And it's like each one of them is like a string that I just feel like the analogy is like the string keeps getting thinner and thinner and thinner. And it's like you just have to break away some of those old ties or some of those old identities or old stories or old beliefs that are holding you back. And it's like, as soon as you kind of clean out that closet or you let go of the possessional things, like you really dig into your heart of what it is that you want to move yourself forward. And when you don't have those identities from the past or even the possessions around you or like the things to keep your mind cluttered, it's like, what is the life that you want to lead forward now? So it's just like that overall time of transition of like letting go. And I think about it today of even when you're letting go of certain aspects, like you're gaining and you're like, there's this yin and yang of celebration and grief all in the same time, even though it's like different aspects of your life. So like I just came off this huge work project and it was like this huge celebration and so many years, and it was like the pride, and then it was like the people that I thought would be in my life at that time to celebrate with me, like the grief of not having them there, and then the grief of like what's next. And it was like I was embarrassed to admit of like everyone is so happy and so full of joy about this project being launched out into the world. And it's like, you get home and it's like, you've never felt emptier. And it's like, you don't have those relationships that you thought would be there to celebrate with you. And you have to go through those feelings. Like you can't just skip it. And it's like, in order to move on, you have to go through it. And so it's just like, in your finances, maybe you're winning, but then in like your health, you're suffering. Or it's like, there's always that yin and yang. And it's like, I always thought of it like life of like, you're either progressing or you're going through the next great thing. But it's like, I think it's even more multidimensional than that of, even while certain aspects of your life are going great, there's always going to be those other times or other areas that are maybe not like excelling as fast. So it's always like that balance of like like just kind of shuffling things around of, so yeah, that's been on my mind a lot this week as I'm like grieving the project coming to an end and closing a chapter of working with this amazing team that is like my family. And then it's like the high of this vehicle being released. And then a relationship of 10 years that isn't at the finish line with me. And it's like, you got to go through all of those feelings and still show up in a way that makes you aligned with your integrity. And so it's like rethinking how you view success. And that's really been challenging me this week of like, on the outside, everyone's been saying like, oh, you are like, you look at you traveling and this project is launching. And it's like, yeah, my heart hurts. Like I'm sad. And so it's just this really interesting dynamic of how dynamic life is and how many different avenues there's, winning and losing and gaining. And it's like, things that you thought you wanted in your life. And then when you achieved it, it's like, oh, that wasn't really what I was expecting. And so it's like, okay, how can you move forward, or how can you get to the next phase that challenges you or defines you or lets you be who you're becoming to be. And I love this quote that I heard this week of, the person that you are in 2 years, obviously you're not ready to be them yet. So like the growth journey that you need to be in order to fulfill those needs. And that makes me really excited, because you're always constantly evolving to who you need to become to achieve the things that you want to achieve or be. So it's like that beautiful journey.
I really want to acknowledge you here, Jenica, because one of the things that really strikes me about you is your smile. Like when you smile, you like, it's not just with like the mouth, it's like your being is involved in that, right? And there's also an element here where you allow yourself to have the full range of emotions. We talked earlier about like the courage to own all of you, and what I'm getting from you is like, you are owning and also calling in like the grief that's a part of closing one chapter as you start the next chapter. You're owning like the celebration, because you're celebrating the wonderful things that have come up, and there's also the acknowledgement of emptiness and what I also get about when you were saying that is that there wasn't like, you gave space for that too. It didn't seem like it was like it wasn't made right or wrong. It was just like I came home and there was the emptiness, and the relationships that I thought were going to be there just weren't there, and so on and so forth, right? So I really want to just acknowledge you really quickly on that, because without, there's this element of being able to fully experience life and to fully experience all of the expressions of it, that it feels like it's very much in line with what it is that you are setting out to do. I just kind of want to call out, like, it feels like you're in motion and movement on that.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that you see that.
We're just getting started. Click on the link below to watch the full conversation, and go to niyamaashawn.com/tribe to get additional resources and exclusive invitation to tribe-only events. Journey on.